Welcome
to
Sort of the Story.
I'm Janey.
I'm Max.
And we're here to tell each other stories.
And that's Janey.
And you are Max. And also, you are here.
Hello, listeners.
Welcome.
Hi. This is the podcast that presumably you've listened to before.
Hopefully. You are, you know what, actually,
if not, you're still welcome.
I really hope this is your first episode because I've got a banger. If you are a child, get the fuck out.
I don't think that was enough warning. We say a lot of bad words. There's some messed up
themes.
Shit.
This one is messed up.
Mine's fine.
So,
Janey's a deviant.
You've been warned.
Yes. So this podcast, basically, we tell each other stories, and you're also here.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thanks for being here as well.
You are also here. We started out so strong. We started it out almost like we had practiced.
I know. You started saying hello, and I was like, I got this. And we said it at the same time, and I was really impressed.
It's pretty freaking bananas great.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Pretty good.
Before we begin, I want to tell everybody about this book that I haven't started reading yet, but that I bought and that I think everybody should buy just to have it on your bookshelf, even though I haven't read it and don't know anything about it. I learned it on TikTok really quickly. It's called Fire on the Mountain. What if John Brown had won at Harper's Ferry? The classic science fiction novel of a black utopia in the American South. And it's by Terry Bisson? Bisson?
Bisson?
B-I-S-S-O-N. Who apparently is a pretty prolific science fiction author. John Brown was a man who tried to incite a slave rebellion at Harper's Ferry. And basically got caught and then executed, but his whole thing, he was such a badass. He was the most violent motherfucker, and he was constantly saying things like, hey, I am the hand of God, and I am here to enforce the golden rule, which all y'all are breaking. And the golden rule, of course, is treat others how you want to be treated, and all men are created equal. That's what we literally have in our Constitution, so here I am to murder you. And I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And the back of it says, it's 1959 in socialist America. The Deep South is an independent black nation called Nova Africa. The second Mars expedition is about to touch down on the Red Planet, and a teenage ex-slave is telling how he rode with John Brown and fought with Harriet Tubman's guerrilla army.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tangentially, I just purchased a book, which I also have not read yet. It's called This Nonviolent Thing Will Get You Killed, and it's the story of protests in the Civil Rights Movement.
We are...
Which is nonfiction. It's
reading non-fairy tales
We are
this week.
Certainly... buying books.
Oh, too many books. As if this podcast is paying us.
It's not.
Anyway, rate, review, and subscribe.
If you want to send us money...
Oh my god.
Just ask.
I have a P.O. box now. I'll take any and all cash orders. I got a P.O. box.
Oh my god, are you a celebrity?
You might be. Okay, let's go ahead and get started then.
Yeah. Janey, I believe your story is first this week.
I am first. Let's go. All right, so this week, I have another Grimm's Brothers story for you. Now that we went into these new people named the Brothers Grimm. Last time.
We discovered this brand new two-brother duo really doing amazing stuff in, the modern media world.
And so. I will say, I appreciate that you really highlight the fact that they are a two-brother duo. Not like a three-brother duo. I almost said trio.
I thought you were going to say thruple, which would have been bad.
Or is it good? Well, we don't know. I guess the world may never know.
Duo.
That's true. Two-brother duo.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I'm always impressed that you have printouts.
I did.
Like, you type it on a computer, and then you connect that computer to a printer, and the printer prints a physical copy of the things that you have written.
Okay,
seems like a lot of work.
my computer's already connected to a printer all the time, always.
I've never had a printer that consistently works, so that's very impressive to me.
Oh, man. I don't want to brag, but got a printer connected to my computer. Okay, so this story is called Hans the Hedgehog. I have some thoughts.
No! I almost just spit out my eggnog.
You did. I have some thoughts, and I am excited to hear yours. So... Hans the Hedgehog. I'm just going to dive in. I told this story over my TikTok live because I wasn't sure if I should tell it on this podcast.
Oh shit, I forgot this one's fucked up.
This one's fucked.
Is the hedgehog okay?
Here we go.
Ah!
Alright. So once there was a wealthy farm. Stop reading the notes.
I'm so sorry.
You are used to subtitles. You literally looked she just craned her neck to read along with me.
Look.
Okay, there was once a wealthy farmer he had everything he could possibly need, right? Except for a child. He couldn't have a kid. He was flinging blanks. What's the term?
Shooting blanks?
Fucking shooting blanks.
Fucking blanks.
He was fucking some blanks, and then that made him sterile. So he wouldn't, like, he had everything he wanted. He was very wealthy. The fact that he couldn't have a child, everybody in his village gave him shit for it. Like, everybody. He'd walk into town and they'd be like, there's sterile Johnny. What's up, you motherfucker? You don't have any kids? Look at my 17 children. They're all, like, peasants. So they're all starving on my farm. What are you doing? And he's like, rolling in dough because I'm not supporting children. And they're like, you fucking loser. And so eventually sterile Johnny is like, I can't do this anymore. So he loses his temper. He throws a typical wealthy man temper tantrum. And he says, I will have a child, even if it be a hedgehog. And guess what happens?
Oh my god, does he adopt a hedgehog?
No. His wife gives birth to a top half hedgehog and bottom half boy.
Oh.
So, like, this is the origin story of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh.
So she gives birth to this truly horrific, painful, I'm assuming.
Head first, you hope.
You definitely hope that those quills aren't, like going out like an umbrella. Anyway, so she gives birth to this baby, and she's like, you cursed us. Look what you did. And he's like, oh man, God is cruel by listening to me. I didn't mean it. And she's like, well, now we have to call him Hans the Hedgehog. That's a quote. She says, and we can't call him anything but Hans the Hedgehog. Like, it was a weird curse. If you have a hedgehog baby, he needs to be called Hans the Hedgehog. Mm-hmm. The husband's like, now that we have this stupid Hans the Hedgehog, we can't do anything but get it baptized. Damn it, even though it can't have a godfather. I don't know. There's rules.
I would just find a hedgehog and be like, you're my baby's godfather now.
The hedgehog's like, whoa, man. Listen, I'm not ready.
I just don't feel like me and my hedgehog wife are financially stable enough to be able to, take care of a child.
What if you guys die? I'm supposed to take your weird freak baby that has man
human
legs? Ew.
Can't fit in my house, not with those legs.
You know what? It won't. So he's like, we gotta go get it baptized. The priest does baptize Hans the Hedgehog and then says, oh man, this baby can't sleep in a regular crib. And they're like, you're right, priest. I don't know how to make him the expert. So they make a little bed of hay for him behind the stove, and they kind of lay him back there. And the mom will never nurse him because she's like, he's gonna poke me with his quills. And I'm like, dude, have you ever held a hedgehog? It's not that bad.
No, they're fine.
Yeah, it's fine. She's being a big old baby. So basically, he's just back there, being left alone all the time, laying on a bed of hay.
Quick question. Yes. Is he the size of a boy or of a hedgehog?
I'm gonna let you figure this out as we go on. Because if there are some context clues.
Because if he's behind the stove, he's got to be pretty small.
You're thinking of
you
our
have to pull the stove out to fit a boy back there.
You're thinking about our stove? You're not thinking about early 1800s German stoves?
Yeah, because I don't know what that looks like.
Oh my god, you don't? So embarrassing. I guess it's like a room? I also don't know. So he lays there on his little bed of hay behind the stove, and he grows up. So he spends 8 years basically in this thing. Every day his father's like, I hate you, Hans the Hedgehog, and I wish you were dead. He's like, great, I didn't ask to be born. You asked for me to be born.
Can he talk?
Yes.
Can Hans the Hedgehog talk?
Yeah. He's
with
a
his
boy.
little hedgehog mouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming maybe he has a lisp. I don't know. So, one day, there is a fair, right? A fair comes to town. And the father goes up to the mom and is like, hey, I'm going to go to this fair. What can I bring you? And she's like, oh, some meat and some cheese and maybe some cleaning things because it's sexist. Because she asks for household supplies for the whole family. And he's like, you got it. And then he goes to the maid and he says, what can I bring you? And she says, maybe some stockings with little clocks on them. And maybe some
What?
Yep. So, she's asking for, foot stuff. I just feel like the maid and the dad are fucking.
Yeah.
Right? That's a sexy thing. Can you pick me up some stockings with little clocks on them? Because, they have that clock fetish.
Yeah, and make sure that they're really, silky.
Ooh, I'm going to slip them over my widowed toes. I never take care of your child because you. And then he goes up to Hans the Hedgehog last, and he's like, Hans the Hedgehog, I wish you were dead. What can I bring you back from the fair? And Hans is like, Papa, can you bring me some bagpipes? And so the dad's like, you got it. And so he goes to the fair.
Where is this set?
Germany. But I think the original story is from Hungary. I don't know if that makes any difference.
I feel like, are bagpipes in places besides Scotland? They seem so, like, specific and incongruous. So is it a Scottish fair? I have a lot of questions that aren't pertinent to this story, is the point.
He specifically is like, I know there's going to be one thing at this fair, and it's bagpipes. And I would like them. So the dad does. Even though he hates Hans the Hedgehog, he goes to the fair, and then he brings back meat and cheese and various cleaning supplies for his wife, who's living the worst life ever. He brings back those sexy, sexy clock stockings for his maid, and he, like, tosses that... Clocking.
TikTokings?
No. And then he brings back the bagpipes for Hans. So then Hans says, Papa, can you go to the blacksmith and get the cockshod? And he's like, I will get the cockshod. Okay, so an important context for the story. I didn't know what that meant, and so I asked the people on my TikTok live instead of YouTubing it, or Googling it, and they were like, oh, when you get a horse shod, you put horseshoes on it. So he wants shoes for his cock. Also, Pepper, get out of here!
You bug with shoes, go!
Pepper just ran in with a rubber duck. She's having a time.
She's just galloping around the house.
She's galloping with a rubber duck in her mouth and making all sorts of noise.
A noise like a bug with shoes.
That's what it sounds like. Okay, so they don't... The version of the story that I read is they do not update any of the language. And so they use the word cock a lot. And I'm going to use that word because it's funnier than rooster. And also because this whole story seems like one big innuendo, and you're going to see why. So he says, go get the cockshod. And he goes, okay. And he's like, and then I will take it away and you will never see me again, Papa. And the dad's like, fucking great. I'm so happy. You're 8 years old and ready to leave forever and never come back here again. And so he goes and gets the cockshod. It gets little shoes on. He jumps on the rooster's back, which is now, I think, a context clue to say that he is, in fact, hedgehog-sized. So he jumps on the rooster's back, he puts a little saddle on it, and he hops on, he takes his bagpipes, and he takes, like, a couple of asses and swine. And then he's like, I'm gonna go raise these asses in the forest. And so he goes off on his own. He gets to the middle of the woods. It's deep, dark woods. Nobody ever goes in. But he's like, I never have to come out anyway, so, like, we're good. And he sets the asses and the pigs loose, and then he kicks the rooster, and it flies up to the top of the tree, and he sits up there on top of his rooster on the trees watching his asses and, like, playing the bagpipes, and that's what he does for years and years.
I'll be honest, I thought that the punchline was going to be that it's really hard for hedgehogs to play bagpipes because they have the spikes.
Nope, he plays them fine.
It.
He actually masters the bagpipes pretty easily. Cool. Also, they have soft bellies, so...
Yeah, but it's supposed to go under your arm, and you like, lever your arm to squeeze it.
Yeah, but there's no spikes underneath their arms or on their sides.
Yeah, so, but if it's like...
Yeah, anyways. But then the quills would go back.
It just seems like it's the worst for hedgehog.
It's not a great instrument for hedgehog, but I feel like perfect for Hans.
Would have been fine.
Imagine him trying to get that rooster to fly a piano to the top of the trees. Yeah, honestly, I think when people retell it, usually they say like a flute or something, or when they have like the music playing. God damn it. So, he's up there just Kenny G-ing at all hours of the day. It's the sexiest damn forest you've ever seen.
They say if you go into the forest, you'll hear a strange little beast ripping on the saxophone. It's the jazziest forest in County Kane.
Okay, well, none of that happens because he has a bagpipe. Okay, so one day, years have gone by, and the king is going through the forest, but he and his party have gotten horrifically lost. And they've been wandering for like a couple days now, and they're realizing, oh shit, we're not going to be able to find our way out. This is terrible. And then they start hearing in the far-off distance,
we must be getting close to Baker Street.
And so the king like tells his little like footman or whoever he is, the guy that goes up, the runner, and he's like, hey, go figure out who's making that music and ask them if they know the way out. So the runner goes up there and he follows the music and he's looking everywhere, and finally he looks up and he like goes back to the king and he goes, all right, so it's this weird little creature that looks like bottom half rooster and top half hedgehog, and it's playing the bagpipes. I don't know what you want me to do with that, but that's where the music's coming from. And the king's like, okay, we'll ask him to come down and we'll get some directions. And so he's like, okay. So they ask him to come down, and Hans the Hedgehog flies his rooster down, and they're like, oh, he's not bottom half rooster.
He's bottom half Cabbage Patch Kid.
He's bottom half tiny man. So they're like, good sir, do you know how to get out of this forest? And he's like, yeah, I do, actually. I live in this forest. I have for years. I know everywhere. He's like, and I know what kingdom you're from. So yeah, I can absolutely get out. And they're like, amazing. What do you want in return? And he's like, oh, just make up a contract saying that whatever greets you first at the castle when you go home is you give it to me. And the king's like, what a weird deal. And he's like, okay, I'll go ahead and write that down. And then he thinks to himself, Hans the Hedgehog cannot read. Like, he's not going to know what I write down. And so basically, he makes the contract say, whatever meets me at the castle gates first does not go to Hans the Hedgehog. And he's like, haha, and he signs it. He's like, there you go. And Hans is like, cool, you're going to take a left up at that tree, and then you'll be at your castle. And the king's like, gotcha, and then he leaves. When the king finally gets home, the whole kingdom is so excited that they're back, because they were lost for such a long time. His daughter, his beautiful daughter, comes running out, and she greets him, and she plants a big kiss on his cheek, and she's like, Daddy, I thought you were gone forever. And he's like, oh, no. I was really hoping one of the dogs would run out to greet me first. Like, you were really excited to see me. Here's the thing. I met this weird creature in the woods, top half hedgehog, bottom half man, and it made me promise to give him whatever met me first. And the princess is like, okay, well, I'm not going anywhere with that weird creature. And he's like, no, don't worry. I wrote a contract that said he wasn't going to get you. And she was like, you did a good job. I would never have done that. So not in a million years would I have done that. That's fucked up. And he's like, I know, right? And so then they go back into the castle. So a little while goes by, and eventually another king gets lost in this forest, right? A second king. He and his party have been wandering and wandering. They hear the music. They go and find him. And then they run up and they're like, come on down. And so he flies down, and they say, how do we get out of this forest? And he says, I will tell you. Just promise me whatever greets you first when you are at the castle, I get. And the king is like, sure. And he writes a contract, and he is very honest. This king does not lie. And so he's like, okay. So he makes that deal, gets out of the forest, and of course the same thing happens. His daughter comes out and throws her arms around his neck, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I promised him this weird little creature, whoever greeted me first, he would get. And it was you. And she's like, oh man, that sucks. But honestly, if you gave your word, I'm willing to keep your word for you. I love you, and I know that you are very honest. And he's like, okay, which is like fucked, but okay. So then a couple years goes by. At this point, and they're all like, maybe Hans the Hedgehog isn't going to come collect. What he's been doing, though, is he's been raising these pigs. And the pigs have been multiplying, right? And so now he has thousands of pigs. And he's like, And he looks around, and he sees every corner of the mountain has pigs in it. And he's like, and now for phase 2 of my plan. And he sends a message to his father. And he says, Father, it is I, Hans the Hedgehog. Empty every sty in the village, because I am bringing a mass slaughter. Enough that everybody can kill if they would like to. And so they do that. He comes in with thousands of pigs, and the killings go on for weeks. And they are so loud, they can be heard from 2 miles away. The slaughtering of all of these pigs.
I'm starting to think that Hans the Hedgehog isn't the protagonist of this story.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll go ahead and see what happens next. So he murders all these pigs that he's been raising. Jesus. And then he goes to his dad and he goes, Dad, get the cock shot again. I am off another time and you'll never see me again. And the dad's like, great, because I fucking hated you seeing you this time. And I'm like, didn't Hans just bring, like, a bunch of, like, money to his family? Like, his dad still fucking hates him. He's like, I wish you were dead. And he's like, well, onward, I guess. So he gets on his little rooster, and he clip-clops away. And he goes to that first kingdom, right? He's like, now it's time to collect my debt. Now, the first king has made a decree. And he said, if you ever see any of this creature come forward, any of this, like, half hedgehog, half man, riding on a rooster bullshit, I want you to shoot him with every gun. I want you to take out your knives. I want everybody to be prepared to stab him. Like, everybody in the village just fucking start stabbing. He's not getting through the gates. And so as he starts, riding up on his little rooster, everybody, like, reaches and holds out these pikes, and everyone's like, get him! And all he does is he spurs the rooster on the sides, and it flies up, and he flies up to the castle window where the king and his daughter are, right? And he's like, hey! You promised me whatever met you first, and I know is your daughter. So, send her out, king. And he's like, I'm not gonna do that. I lied, and the contract says something different. And he's like, all right. well, if you don't send her out, I'm gonna fucking murder you and your daughter. And I can do it. So, get ready to be murdered.
Oh my god.
And so the king goes to his daughter, and he's like, dude, I'm sorry, you have to go with him. Like, save yourself and me, please. This is a deranged little animal. And so she is, like, upset, but she's like, god damn it, like, okay. So she dresses all in white. They gather a bunch of gold and jewels, and they put her in a carriage, and then they send her out into the middle of the woods. And he's, like, Hans the Hedgehog's like, sure, follow me. And so he rides ahead as this carriage is following them. As soon as they get into the forest, he stops, he throws open the door, he rips off all her pretty clothes, and then he stabs her with his quills all over her body, on every inch of her body, until she is bloody and mutilated. And then he says, you're a fucking liar, and I don't want to marry you anyway. Get the fuck out of here. And then he sends her home. And the quote is, she is shamed for the rest of her life.
What? She was almost, like, the first person in Germany to die of acupuncture. And you're like, oh, well, it's your own fault because your dad is bad at tricks? Oh my god. Oh, I'm so stressed out.
So then he goes on to the second castle.
I don't like the hedgehog anymore.
No.
I was picturing that little hedgehog, the video
Sonic
of
the Hedgehog.
Well, no, I was picturing the little hedgehog who, like, when you make a farting sound, like, he, like, hides his face. I was like, oh, what a cutie, I love him. I don't love him.
Yeah.
Hans the Hedgehog is not like the fart hedgehog.
Okay, well, wait.
He's bad.
You might be turned with our next tale. Don't judge him just
I don't
yet.
think so.
So Hans the Hedgehog clip-clops his way on his little rooster with shoes to the next kingdom. This king has told everybody, if you see a little creature, half hedgehog, riding on a rooster, maybe has some bagpipes with him, throw open the doors, everybody salute him, make him feel welcome, tell him, like, long live Hans the Hedgehog, like, we really want to make him feel welcome, and then bring him in. And so that's what happens, and Hans the Hedgehog is really happy that people are giving him respect, right, that he thinks he deserves. Mm-hmm. The daughter isn't pleased that she has to marry this weird little monster, but also she's like, I did promise my father, and I am a good pious girl, and so here I go. So they have this big wedding for them, they eat and they drink, and she's sitting next to him. And then she confesses later, she says, I'm really fucking nervous about this wedding night. I'm not excited about it, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little afraid. Mm-hmm. And Han says, don't worry, I would never hurt you. I am not that type of hedgehog. I would never. So he says, and I have a surprise for you.
Oh my god, no.
So.
Oh god, no.
What would you do if I was like, and then he threw open a room and there was a blood room filled with body parts?
I'm assuming that the gift is the girl who got turned into Swiss cheese. She's like, look, this is what happens to stupid bitches that don't listen. I love you. Let's get married.
They're already married. She's locked in for life. So he says, I have a surprise for you. And so he tells the king to send 4 guards. They go, I'm realizing I'm setting up a fucking horror story.
Yep.
So he says, send 4 guards. And then he says, okay, so tonight, before I go in, I'm gonna take off my hedgehog spikes. I'm gonna slip out of the hedgehog costume.
What?
And I want you to take the skin and throw it in the fire, and all 4 of you wait until it's completely burned. And so that's what he does. That night, he just slips out of his hedgehog quills like it's a coat, and then they burn it, and it's done. So that next morning, he wakes up, and he has the body of a man, but he is coal black, like he has been burnt head to toe, right? So the king sends a doctor, the doctor covers him, and Max has the most horrified expression.
This is the scariest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's super fucked.
He had to have smelled so bad if he was just wearing a hedgehog. Also, did he put it on in the womb? Also, back to how big he is. It makes it say... So, would he be a tiny human still, or would he be a normal-sized human? And if so, does that mean that his hedgehog size grew according to hedgehogs, and his human size grew according to humans, so he was just a teeny tiny hedgehog body perched on top of adult human man legs? Like, started off with little Cabbage Patch legs, and then grew like adult man, like a woodsy adult man legs with a teeny tiny little hedgehog torso just wobbling around. I wouldn't want to marry him either.
There's no scenario where I want to marry.
Is he a human-sized hedgehog? Because if so, those spikes are just spears. He is made of weapons.
None of this is ever discussed in the story. So, now he is a human man. He's a full human man, but he is coal black, like he has been burnt head to toe in a fire.
Sure.
So the king comes and he's like, oh my god, get this man a doctor. And the doctor covers him with like balms and salves. And eventually, and this is a quote from the book, eventually he is white again and everybody is relieved. So, not great. He and his wife is like, oh my god, I'm so happy. And then they consummate the marriage, so you have to have him getting laid at the end. And then after a couple of years, he's inherited the kingdom, and now he's the fucking king. And he decides to take his wife and go back home. And he goes to his father's house a third time after saying several times now, I will never come back. And he says, Papa, it's me. It's your son. And his dad's like, oh no, I don't have a son. I had a hedgehog. And he ran off with a cock. So, not you. Nice try, king. And he's like, no, it's me. And so he reveals himself to be Hans the Hedgehog. I don't know how he reveals himself, but he does. And the king is like, oh, haroo! The king's really happy. The father's really happy. He packs up his bag, and then they take the dad to the castle where he lives pampered for the rest of his life because he deserves it. The end.
What?
Here's some questions.
I am so angry. Oh my god!
It's like a Grimm's. So this is a Grimm's
This is
Brothers
fucking grim.
story.
This is grim.
About incels winning.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Okay.
First of all.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, here's my first problem.
Go ahead.
Right, the king goes into the forest. Hans is like, here's this contract. And the king is like, yeah, sure, I'll sign this contract. His first thought is to, I guess, change the contract, which is kind of a weird first thought to have. He has a runner that, went ahead. Just send the runner ahead to the kingdom and be like, hey, go get a chicken to greet me at the the gates.
100%.
There are so much easier solutions than being like, I'm gonna lie to this saxophone-playing hedgehog man on a rooster at the top of the trees in this forest that I'm lost in. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
And it's also not even that the contract was like, oh, you have to promise me your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it could have been anything.
Also, how would you feel if you were this neighboring kingdom and the princess was mauled within an inch of her life by a fucked up hedgehog incel son of a bitch, and then he becomes the king of it? I would start a war. I would be like, hey, that guy borderline sexually assaulted my daughter and, ruined her life. Also, he's a hedgehog.
And now he's the king of this neighborhood.
And now he's the king. And now he's the king.
Yeah. They're fucking terrified of him. Does it remind you of anything that you have seen?
The Witcher?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't explicitly found that that's where they got it from, but that's where they got it from.
A lot of similar elements.
This is
the Law of Surprise and the
Hedgehog
Hedgehog Prince and...
Specifically, Hedgehog Prince, I think, is enough to be like, yep, that's it. So if you've seen The Witcher, they have a character who is half hedgehog.
For the Witcher TV show.
Yeah, well, I don't have to tell any really big things, but they have a character who is half hedgehog, who has this thing called the Law of Surprise, where he made this deal with this person's father, saying, I'm going to save your life, but give me the first thing that, the first thing that comes to you next, right? That comes into your life. And it happened to be a baby. And so, this is Hans the Hedgehog. This is the deal that they're making. This is the animal. This is particularly in the Arns-Thompson-Uther type 441. Can you guess what the type is? What do you think that describes this type?
Hedgehog incel.
A beautiful maiden is forced to marry a hog or a hedgehog. And here are some titles that fall under that exact thing.
Query.
Yes.
Why combine hog and hedgehog? They have nothing in common besides the word hog.
Yep. King Pig from Italy.
King Pig.
Hans the Hedgehog, or it's also called Hans my Hedgehog, where how I said Hans the Hedgehog, it does. About your hedgehog boyfriend.
Yes.
The Wild Pig, also from Germany.
Sorry, My Hedgehog Academia.
My Hedgehog Academia! Oh god, guys, please let us make money so we can make shirts.
My Hedgehog Academia
My
t-shirts.
Hedgehog Academia!
Hell
oh my
yes.
god, I'm having a meltdown. Okay, the hedgehog that married the king's daughter from Lithuania, Prince Hedgehog from Russia, the hedgehog, the merchant, the king, and the poor man from Hungary, which I did listen to, and it's basically the story, and the enchanted pig from Romania. So it's a very popular story type, is what I'm saying.
I feel like it should be less popular.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't have as much hedgehog incels. It's also like a supernatural husband element, which is also in the type 441.
Yes, I was just reading a story today that fit into it. It was the buzzard husband from central Mexico.
Fun.
Yeah, where a man is super lazy and he sees a buzzard in his field and he's like, I wish I lived that buzzard's life. His life seems so easy. So he goes up to the buzzard and he's like, hey, do you want to Freaky Friday this shit? And so then he switches places with the buzzard.
I wish
and the
I
buzzard
was in your body for just one day.
Yeah, he switches bodies with the buzzard and the buzzard's like, by the way, just so you know, you have to eat what buzzards eat, which is like carrion and shit, and the guy's like, whatever, I'll eat anything. And then he spends like an hour as a buzzard, and then he gets hungry, and he's like, I'm not eating carrion. So he flies back into his house, and the buzzard, who is now a man, is like greeting his wife, and his wife is like, why do you smell like carrion? Because apparently
greeting his wife or grating his wife?
Greeting. So the buzzard, who is now a man, goes into the wife's house, and he still smells like a buzzard, and so she's like, why do you smell so bad? And he's like, don't worry about it. And she's like, get out of my house, I'm divorcing you.
Oh.
Or
take a shower.
Ancient central Mexican equivalent of
I'm beheading you.
Yeah, and then a buzzard flies into her house and she's like, what the fuck? Why is there a buzzard in my house? And she keeps trying to shoo it out of the house, but it won't leave. And that just happens for a while, and then the buzzard, who is now a man, is like, all right, joke's up, I'm actually a buzzard. That's actually your husband. And then they switch places back.
That's a anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Nothing happens except that she has a buzzard infestation. This is really a story about the wife's harrowing day.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Well, it also, so this story in particular is a mirror of the story of Eros and Psyche, right? Which is the same story as East of the Sun, West of the Moon. And there's a Beauty and the Beast element of just like, at the end, he could just take off I had to stop. So I read this story as like a calm, chill, like YouTube video I do for my patrons. And I had to stop it to like curse a bunch because it's not like, it's just like a classic reading in a nice voice. And then this one I had to stop and curse because I was so upset that this whole time he could just take off his hedgehog skin.
I know.
He could remove it like a little coat. Why didn't he? Because he wanted to stab?
I feel like also the Arntepston type is weird because usually it's like some element that is, you know, like a way of breaking down the story itself. And that seems like it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the story. I feel like more accurately, I feel like it would be like a hedgehog or pig, I guess, is... It seems like a thing of like, I have a messed up child, and you're mean to your messed up child, and then your messed up child goes away and like makes his fortune. Or like, you know, like a princess marries a beast that she thinks might be horrible, and then it turns out that he's not. You know, like those seem like more classic and descriptive types than just woman marries pig.
Yeah, a beautiful maiden is forced to marry a hog or a hedgehog.
That's just a weird category.
See, but you're thinking specifically, I think, of morals. And this is just describing what happens, like the thread between them. Yeah,
I feel like it's more of like a plot trajectory thing. I think is the useful part of Arn Thompson to me. I guess you could classify things in a couple of different types, but...
Well, they're all typed specifically by exactly what happens. So we've done other ones that are like the robber bridegroom or the sweetheart in the woods, where it's like, this type is a woman is kidnapped and finds bodies in her new husband's house, right? Like weird things. Or a woman, there's the realistic tale type that is like, a man kills his wife. And there's no, like, it doesn't describe anything except for specifically what happens, and it puts a bunch of other stories that have that exact same element into it.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of it like, I'm thinking of it in terms of like subcategories where something belongs in one subcategory, and I think it could be more specific. But I feel like if the stories belong in several different subcategories, you know, like if it belongs in the category of like
supernatural husbands and
forced
to marry a pig,
and children who are banished and then come back like wealthy and successful, and you know, like more like a TV tropes kind of categorization system. Yeah, I feel like that makes more sense.
I don't know if there's a moral here.
I think the moral is...
The villains win?
Yeah, the moral, I think, is if you're going to trick a supernatural hedgehog man, then do it in a smart way.
Yeah, there's definitely that one king's moral. I'm really pissed that all of the characters in this suck, right? Every single man, except for that second king, I guess. But even he kind of sucks.
Yeah, he's like, my daughter has to, I guess...
But, like, also, what choice did he have? But, like, the dad wished for this kid and then was so upset when he got what he wished for that he, like, destroyed, that he abused him. And it is, like, a nature versus nurture thing where Hans the Hedgehog could have grown up to be the cute little hedgehog that, like, hides when you make farting noises. But instead he turned into an incel that shamed a woman for life even though it had nothing to do with her. Anyway, but that's...
more like an edge.
What happened to his mom?
Yeah.
I bet the dad murdered her.
Probably. Or he was like, gosh, I wish I had a different son, even if it was part alligator.
She's like, stop wishing!
And then she got eaten by a half alligator, half baby.
Oh, baby.
Maybe baby.
Later, baby. Dear.
Did you say you also had questions, or did we?
No, my big question, all in caps, is where is the wife?
Where is the wife?
I was upset that he got to go to the castle at the end, and the wife didn't.
Yeah.
So.
She could have just died of old age. I feel like they should have said that, though. I feel like that should be established.
There's a lot of stuff I wish they would establish.
I wish that the second king had let him into the castle and then poisoned his food so that he died, and then the two princesses got married.
God, yeah. And then the second princess is scarred all over and becomes an assassin.
Yeah.
Oh, or the first princess, I mean.
Yeah. I'm just saying, hire me to rewrite.
You know what?
Brothers Grimm.
Done.
But it's all lesbians.
That's the most fucked up story I've read in a long time.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm horrified.
Let's take a little break and then we'll come on back.
Cool. All right. So now that we've had a brief moment to recover from that nightmarish hedgehog hellscape that we all just participated in, I have a story for you.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I know. This is a story from the one-of-a-kind, the best there ever was, W.B. fucking Yeats.
What?
Gang, if you don't know anything about W.B. Yeats, he is...
the Great.
If you don't know anything about W.B. Yeats, he is an Irish poet of great acclaim. He also has done a lot to improve, like, Irish pride, especially, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when that was dearly lacking. So there was a lot going on in Ireland around then. So he did some great stuff. The great thing about Yeats, as far as I'm concerned, is that he writes a lot of his stories and poems in Irish dialect. Okay. So the words are spelled in the way that you would say them if you had an Irish accent.
Cool.
Which is delightful. I absolutely love him. Again, he's known primarily for his poems, but he also wrote a series of fairy stories called Fairy Tales of Ireland. I have a copy here. It is in the, what is it called? Public Commons? Or... Oh, it's out of copyright.
Public domain.
Yes, exactly. So this copy... that I have is illustrated by P.J. Lynch, who is an Irish illustrator. It's very lovely. He does really good, fairy tale drawings, basically.
Oh, and they're all, like, pen and ink style. If you like flipping through Alice in Wonderland...
Yeah, they look very similar to Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, they're very nice little pen and ink drawings. I love them.
I was a little bit worried about telling the story because I feel like retelling the story without including any of the... inflection is a little bit of a shame, but also I'm not going to do an Irish accent.
She's going to do the best Irish accent
I don't want to
you've
get
ever heard in your life, lads. We opened this podcast on such disrespect to Ireland.
Hey, Ireland. Guys,
oh God, we love you
I'm really sorry.
much.
If you thought that I hated Ireland and you made it this far thinking that I hated Ireland, I just want you to know that I don't.
God, we fucking love Ireland and Irish people.
We absolutely love Ireland and Irish people.
I didn't even realize how hard we went on Ireland until I re-listened to the first episode and I was like, fucking good God, guys.
Yeah, we're really sorry, Ireland.
But also, no, we're fucking not. You fucking losers.
Gang, I'm Janey's PR manager now, and she's not allowed to say that, so...
Fucking try to stop me, you drunks!
So, what I'm going to do, again, because this is publicly available in lots of places, I'm going to go ahead and read some of the dialogue as we go.
I'm so excited.
I'll do my best to make a note, but it'll be pretty obvious, because it sounds like I'm doing a rude political cartoon about the Irish. I swear to God, this is exactly how it's written.
I'm excited to flip through this book later. Honestly, how fun.
Yeah. It's a fun one. All right. So this story is called Daniel O'Rourke. This is a fairly well-known Irish fairy tale. I hadn't heard it, though, so I'm hoping that this is not so well-known that it will be unsurprising.
Oh, I was going to say, it doesn't matter if it's well-known.
Yeah.
Because our next episode is going to be famous fairy tales from Disney, I've decided. It doesn't have to be from Disney, but it's the famous ones.
I gotcha.
That people recognize.
Yeah.
We have discussed that before, I just hadn't put in the Disney part before.
Disney, don't sue us.
Disney, fucking come at us, you drunks!
Whoa! Oh, in 8 episodes, we're gonna have to do an apology to Disney.
I love Disney.
Guys, we love Disney culture. We love Disney people.
Disney on my mother's side.
I'm a quarter Disney.
A quarter.
Anywhooms, this story starts off, the frame story is that the narrator has heard of this gentleman, Daniel O'Rourke, and he's heard that he has a crazy story, and he's heard it retold before by people, but he's like, that can't be the real story. So he goes, and as he's traveling, he comes across Daniel O'Rourke, and he remarks that he's like kind of a pseudo-legendary figure at this point because of the story that he tells. And he's like, could you tell me the story? At this point, Daniel O'Rourke is an old man, and he's like, I've told this story before many times, but I will tell it again for you. So Daniel O'Rourke says, I went to this huge party, right? There were nobles from France and Spain, people who came from all over. It was like the nobleman who was throwing it was local, and he's super, super rich. And he invited all of the sort of commoners from our county to come to this party. And so everyone got really drunk, and there was lots of dancing, and I saw some people dancing together who shouldn't have, and that's Daniel O'Rourke is a bit of a gossip.
He's my kind of person.
And so Daniel O'Rourke basically gets wasted. And he leaves the party, and the story says that what is it? Well, I thought for all that in myself, I just stepped to Molly O'Cronaghan's, the fairy woman, to speak a word about the bracket heifer that was bewitched. So, which is going to talk to a fairy about a bewitched cow.
He lives in a place with a fairy woman?
I don't think so. I think that's just like going to see a man about a dog. Like he went to go pee, and that's like a
What?
I think. I don't know if that's true.
That's going to be my new... I gotta go see a fairy woman about a bewitched cow. I gotta tinkle.
Yeah. But so basically he wanders away from the party, and he starts walking out along the road. And he is walking out along the road, and the road goes across this creek, and it's one that he's crossed dozens of times, and so he goes on the stepping stones. But he's very drunk. And he's looking up at the stars because it's a beautiful night, and it is Lady Day, which I think is Sunday? I should have looked that up. So he was like, so I was counting my blessings, and I'm just looking up at the stars, and it's not because I was drunk at all. And he slips and he falls into the river. And his first thought is like, oh my god, I'm gonna drown in this river. But then he starts to swim. Right?
Oh yeah, wait, I can swim.
It turns out actually I can swim. So he starts to swim, and he keeps swimming for a while, for like a long time, right? And he's like swimming downriver and everything. And he finally, after a long, long time of swimming, he reaches the shore of an island, which he describes as a dissolute island. So it's like crumbling and like mushy and marshy and everything.
Mushy and marshy are the names of my future twin daughters.
Yeah, they're twin Siamese cats with sweating disorders.
Mushy and marshy.
So he comes to the shores of this island, and he's like, I don't know where I am, and I know everywhere in Balashino, which is the name of the place where he's from. I'm equal parts Irish and Italian, and I know that just came through. Balashino. Come on. So he's like, I know everywhere in Balashino, which is the town that he's in, and he's like, this isn't anything that I've ever seen before. And so he's inconsolable. He is like sobbing on the beach, and then he like picks himself back up, and he starts to walk, and he's like, well, I'll go find anyone, I guess.
He sat down and bitterly wept before doing any sort of reconnaissance.
His first thought upon slipping and falling into a river was, oh, I'm gonna drown. He is not melodramatic.
His second thought is, oh, I can swim. And then his first thought on a place where he doesn't recognize is, oh my god, I'm alone. And then his second thought is, maybe I should look for people.
Respect. He is wandering around, and he gets to this bog on the island, and the moon is bright as can be. He actually says, the moon was shining as bright as day, or your fair lady's eyes, sir, with your pardon for mentioning her, which is just a weird toss-in of like, hey, your girlfriend's hot. Anyways.
I don't need to put this in here, but She's fucking fine.
Yeah. So he's looking around. Again, the moon is super bright. He'd be able to see if anything happened. And there's nothing but bog in every direction. So he sees a big stone jutting out of the bog, and he sits down on it. And he starts singing a eulogon, which is just a dirge, like a funerary song for himself. He's like,
there's a long black train.
And then suddenly the bright, bright moon is blocked out, and a massive eagle flies down in between him and the moon, so it gets dark and this huge shadow around him, and it lands right in front of him. And it says, "Daniel O'Rourke, how do you do?" And he says, "Very well, I thank you, sir. I hope you're well." And he wonders to himself how an eagle came to speak like a Christian. And the eagle says, "What brings you here, Dan?" And Dan says, "Nothing at all, sir. Only I wish I was safe home again." And the eagle says, "Is it out of the island you want to go, Dan?" And Dan says, "'Tis, sir." And then he tells him the story of how he got to this island, which is basically just like, I was drunk and I fell in the water and then I swam here and I'm lost and I want to go home. And the eagle says, takes a moment to pause and think, and he says, "Dan, though it is very improper for you to get drunk on Lady Day, yet as you are a decent man sober, who tends mass well, and never flings stones at me or mine, nor cries out after us in the fields, my life for yours, says he. So get up on my back and grip me well, for fear you'd fall off, and I'll fly you out of the bog." Nice. So he basically says, "Jump on my back, I'll fly you out of this bog."
You've because you're nice to birds. Other birds.
So then Daniel O'Rourke is like, "I've never seen a guy riding on a bird before. Are you sure that I can do that?" And the eagle's like, "Well, you can't stay here because that stone that you're on is sinking into the bog." And he looks down and he's like, "Ah, crap." So it's like, "All right." And he like flings his arms around the eagle's neck, and the eagle takes off. And he's like, "Thank you so much for your help. I thank your honor for the loan of your civility, and I'll take your kind offer." And they fly away. The eagle starts up flying straight up, right? Mm-hmm. And Daniel isn't worried yet. And then he keeps flying up more and more and more. And Daniel's like, "Hey,
air's pretty thin up here, friend."
Yeah, he's like, "Sir, please your honor's glory, and with humble submission to your better judgment, if you'd fly down a bit, you're just now over my cabin. I could be put down there, and many thanks to your worship." So he's like trying to be really nice, and he's like, "Yeah, can you, I don't want to say that you're lost or anything, but like my house is right there, so if you want to just drop me off, that would be so great. Thank you so much, by the way." And the eagle says, "Ugh, Dan, do you think me a fool? Look down in the next field, don't you see 2 men and a gun? By my word, it would be no joke to be shot this way, to oblige a drunken blackguard that I picked up off a cold stone in a bog."
Fuck.
He's like, "Look, I'm gonna get shot if we land at your house, so we're just gonna not do that." Nice. And Daniel's like, "Okay, yeah. Totally, that sounds fine. That sounds cool and all right. So just wherever you want to drop me off is totally fine." And the eagle's like, yeah, totally. So the eagle flies for like 10 more minutes, and Daniel's like, "So do you want to like put me down now?" And the eagle's like, "Oh yeah, just like a little ways up here, I'll be able to put you down." And then like 5 minutes later, Daniel's like, "Okay, but like, do you want to put me down now?" Because they keep getting higher and higher and higher.
Oh my gosh.
And the eagle is like, yeah, just, we're just right up here, like right over there. A minute later, Daniel's like, "Hey man, I would really like to get down if you wouldn't mind." And the eagle's like, yeah, totally.
This is every story of people who survived like hitchhiker serial killers. Like, this is every single one of the stories.
And so finally Daniel's like, "So where are you going?" And the eagle says, "Mind your business."
Oh no.
And Daniel...
and then it turned and now he has shark eyes. He's with fucking Ed Kemper, the eagle.
He's like, "Mind your business." And Daniel's like, "I'm pretty sure it is my business."
I'm sorry. Egg Kemper.
Egg Kemper?
Yeah.
Ah.
Anyway, go ahead.
He's like, "I'm pretty sure it is my business, actually." And the eagle's like, "Oh, shut up. Just shut up." He's like, "Okay, I might be in trouble." They keep flying up and up and up until they get to the moon.
Oh, no.
So Daniel O'Rourke sees the moon approaching, and it's not that big. It's like the size of like a small house, right?
Oh.
And the eagle, they get close to the moon. The eagle's like, "Ugh, I am so tired. I am just dog tired. I didn't realize it was going to be such a long flight." And Daniel's like, "Well, it didn't have to be. Nobody told you to keep flying for this long. And, it didn't have to be a long flight. We passed my house like hours ago." And the eagle's like, "Well, point being, I'm very tired, so could you just hop off for a second on the moon and, let me catch my breath?" And Daniel O'Rourke says, "I can't sit on the moon. I would fall off, like, immediately. It's, like, not that big."
Yeah.
And he looks, and he sees that there's actually this scythe, right? Like a big reaping scythe, like a like man height, sticking out of the side of the moon. And the eagle's like, well, there's that right there, so you can just hang on to that, and you won't fall off the moon. And Daniel's like, okay, but no. And I will fall off the moon, and I'm not going to do that. So, no, I'm not going to jump off. And the eagle's like, okay, well, then I'm going to drop you. And Daniel Rook is like, okay, I guess. So he, like, hops off the eagle's back and onto the moon.
I really like this imagery, though. I'm, like, having a great time imagining this.
Yeah. Actually, let me read this quote real quick. He's like, I'm not gonna get off. And the eagle says, maybe not. If you don't, my man, I shall just give you a shake and one slap of my wing and send you down to the ground where every bone in your body will be smashed as small as a drop of dew on a cabbage in the morning. Which...
Okay. You poetic deal.
So Daniel O'Rourke jumps off onto the moon and he takes a hold of the scythe to keep his balance. And the eagle flies away a little bit and turns back and says, good morning to you, Daniel O'Rourke, which in this case means like good morning, like goodbye.
Yeah, it's an aloha situation.
Yeah. Good morning to you, Daniel O'Rourke, said he. I think I've nicked you fairly now. You robbed my nest last year, and in return, you are freely welcome to cool your heels dangling upon the moon like a cockthrow.
Fucking!
Whoa! He just
revenge.
Found this asshole in a bog and was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fly him to the moon.
Fly me to the moon.
Yes. Daniel O'Rourke at this point is done being polite. He's like, is that all? Is that the way you leave me, you brute, you? You ugly, unnatural beast? And is this the way you serve me at last? Bad luck to yourself with your hooked nose to all your breed, you blackguard.
Oh,
so he's like, fuck you and every bird.
I curse you and all birds. It's done.
The eagle is like, well, whatever. Go fuck yourself. And then flies away. So Daniel O'Rourke is left alone on the moon, clutching onto this scythe that is stuck into the side of the moon, trying to keep his balance. And once again, he begins to mourn and wail. He's like, I'm stuck on the moon.
Okay, now he has a reason to be upset.
Yeah, now he's like, he's like, I can't jump off the moon because then I'll just be like, I will explode into smithereens upon impact on the earth. So he's like wailing and crying and he's rocking back and forth while he's holding this scythe. And then a door opens in the side of the moon.
Because it's the side of the house.
And the man in the moon pokes his head out.
Cute!
He's like a little fella. And let me see. I want to read this as well. Out there walks, who do you think but the man in the moon himself? I knew him by his bush. So he's like, I saw his beard and I was like, this must be the man in the moon. And not because he came out of the moon.
Also,
Classic.
I knew him by his bush is a hilarious thing to say in an orgy. I know who that is. That Dave from the moon.
That you, Dave. Yeah, man, how's it going? So the man in the moon says, good morning to you, Daniel O'Rourke. How do you do? Daniel says, very well, thank your honor. And I hope your honor's well. And the man in the moon says, well, what brought you here, Dan?
A big old eagle seeking revenge.
So then Daniel tells him this whole story where he's like, I got drunk, I fell into the ocean, and then I was swimming, and then I got to an island, and the island started falling apart, and then there was an eagle, and he was like, you can ride up to your house with me. Which also, upon the reread, I realized that the eagle didn't actually say, I will fly you to your house. He said, I will fly you out of the bog, which is technically true.
Yeah, he did not laugh.
And he's like, anyways, that eagle turned out to have a grudge, and, now I'm stuck on the moon, I guess. And so the man in the moon takes a pinch of snuff, and he goes, well, Dan, you can't stay here. And Dan is like, I mean, yeah, I don't want to be here. I wouldn't want to, I really don't want to stay here, but I don't really know how to get back, so if you want to tell me, I will happily leave. And the man in the moon is like, I don't know how you would get back, but you can't stay here. This is the moon. You have to leave. And Daniel O'Rourke is like, I'm not, like, hurting anything. I'm just hanging out here trying not to die. So, like,
yeah, where
it's not like I'm messing with your house or anything. And the man in the moon is like, yeah, but you really have to leave. He says, that's what you must not do, Dan. You can't just hang out here.
God, everyone is very rude.
And Daniel O'Rourke says, pray, sir, may I ask how many you are in family, that you would not give a poor traveller lodging? I'm sure 'tis not often your trouble with strangers coming to see you, for 'tis a long way. He's like, can I just come stay in your house, if you don't want me on your roof?
Yeah.
And he says, I'm by myself, Dan, but you'd better let go the reaping hook.
Oh.
And
what?
Daniel O'Rourke says, faith, and with your leave, I'll not let go the grip, and the more you bids me, the more I won't let go, so I will.
Yeah. Fair.
And the man in the moon says, "You'd better, Dan." And then Dan says, "Why then, my little fellow, taking the whole weight of him with my eye from head to foot, there are 2 words to that bargain," which I'm pretty sure means fuck you. Says, "And I'll not budge, but you may if you like."
Oh, fuck. Honestly, fair. At this point, fair.
Woo! And the man in the moon says, "We'll see how that is to be." And he goes back into his house and he slams the door. And Daniel hears him banging around inside. So Daniel's like, shaking at his shoulders and getting ready to fight the man in the moon.
To kick him off the moon and then take over his house. Yeah, he's trying to figure out how he's gonna, bob and weave when he's sitting on the moon.
And the man in the moon comes back out and he's holding a big old kitchen cleaver. And Daniel's like, "What are you gonna do with that?" And he's like, "Nothing." And then he goes and he takes 2 big thwaps on the handle of the scythe. And the scythe snaps in half. And Daniel plummets.
Oh my god.
And the man in the moon calls after him, "Good morning to you, Dan. I thank you for your visit, and fair weather after you, Daniel."
Oh, fuck.
The man in the moon is a passive-aggressive ass bitch.
Who likes his privacy.
I mean, you don't move to the moon for... I mean, I guess you might move there for the view, but, you don't move there for the company.
You do wonder how many times this eagle has dropped people off on his door. How many people has the man in the moon had to murder?
And that's just eagles. That's not even taking into account, I don't know, vultures.
Vultures are not vindictive. They are nice and friendly.
That's true. Mm-hmm. So Daniel O'Rourke is plummeting out of the sky at the rate of a fox hunt, I just described.
Fast fox.
He says, "God help me, but this is a pretty pickle for a decent man to be seen in at this time of night. I am now sold fairly." It's like, well, this is embarrassing. Every other time that anything has happened, he's been like, "Woe is me!" And he's just dropped off of the moon and is plummeting towards the earth. And he's like, "Oh my, I
really think about this."
I hope Susie from math class doesn't see this. Woo! So he's plummeting out of the sky, and then he sees a flock of geese flying nearby, and he recognizes them as the geese from his hometown of Ballysheno. And one of the geese recognizes him, and he says, "Is that you, Dan?" Quote, direct quote.
As you're telling this story more and more, I'm imagining the people from Letterkenny.
Oh yeah, this is just
Is that you, Dan?
Irish Letterkenny.
How do you know?
The same, said I, not a bit daunted now at what he had said, for by this time I was used to all kinds of bedevilment, and besides, I knew him of old.
I know that guy, he's cool.
And the gander says, good morrow to you. Daniel O'Rourke, how are you in health this morning? Daniel O'Rourke says, very well, sir, I thank you kindly, meanwhile still tumbling through the sky. I hope your honour's the same. And the gander says, I think 'tis falling you are, Daniel. And Daniel says, you may say that, sir.
Yeah.
The gander says, and where are you going all the way so fast? And Daniel tells him the story of how he'd fallen off the moon and how he had gotten to the moon and also why an eagle had to pick him up and take him home and that he was super drunk still probably.
It's been a couple hours and he's fallen several times. I bet he's sober.
Maybe. And the gander, takes a moment and thinks about it and says, Dan, I'll save you. Put out your hand and catch me by the leg and I'll fly you home.
Nice.
And Daniel's a little bit hesitant at this point. He doesn't trust birds, which is fair.
Yeah.
But he thinks about it for a second and he's like, okay, I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
so
there's no
whatever he can do to me isn't that bad. And he says, sweet is your hand and a pitcher of honey, my jewel. You're sweeter than honey.
Yep.
Compared to honey is shit. And so he catches the gander by the leg, and the gander keeps flying. Mm-hmm. And it keeps flying and flying and flying for longer and longer. And Daniel O'Rourke, they're flying through some cloud cover, and then the clouds break, and he realizes that he's over the ocean.
Oh no!
And he sees the coast of Ireland receding behind him and to the left. And he says, "Ah, my lord."
Oh no!
Fly to land, if you please. And the goose says, it's impossible, Dan, it's going to be a while until we get to land because we're going to Arabia.
Oh, fuck.
And Dan is like, to Arabia? That's surely someplace in foreign parts, far away. Oh, Mr. Goose, why then, to be sure, I'm a man to be pitied among you. He's like, this is a rough day for Daniel.
Daniel O'Rourke is having a bad time.
And the goose is like, shh. I tell you, Arabia is a very decent sort of place, as like West Carberry as one is egg is like another. Only there's a little more sand there. Whereas Ireland, Arabia, what's the difference, right? Besides the sand.
They're all filled with worms,
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that matters, right, Dan? He's like, no.
What? No, but he's full of worms?
Yes. What do geese eat? Worms.
Oh, I think you meant the people.
No.
It's like, oh my god.
No, he's going there to deworm some people. He's actually there on a volunteer mission.
Yeah, he's a
hoping to
veterinarian.
convert them to his goose Christianity.
Yeah, he's a reverse veterinarian.
Yeah.
An animal who is a doctor for people. So, Rourke is kind of upset again for obvious reasons. And they see a huge, like, ocean liner passing underneath of them. And Daniel is like, oh, just drop me, actually. Here's fine. If you want to just drop me onto that ship, I will see what I can do about getting to land. And thank you so much. And the goose is like, we're not actually, like, above that ship. If I drop you, you're going in the ocean. And Dan is like, that's okay. Please drop me. And the goose is like, all right. I mean, if that's what you want. And he drops him. So Daniel O'Rourke plummets.
Why doesn't he ask the goose to just go over the ship? Okay. I got a little eager.
So he drops from where the goose is holding him and he falls straight into the sea. And he falls so hard that he drops right to the bottom of the sea.
Oh no!
And he thinks to himself, well, now I'm actually going to drown.
Yeah.
This makes the river seem super safe.
I feel embarrassed for crying so hard back then.
Yeah, so he's just sitting and pouting on the bottom of the ocean as his breath slowly, like, gives out.
Yeah.
And this whale walks up to him. He,
walks?
Yes. Specifically, I gave myself up then forever when a whale walked up to me, scratching himself after a night's sleep. He looked me full in the face, and never the word did he say, but lifting up his tail, he splashed me all over again with the cold salt water till there wasn't a dry stitch upon my whole carcass.
Wait.
He's saying he fell to the bottom of the ocean, and this whale was just getting up in the morning, and he splashed him with salt water.
Yeah.
While he was, like, scratching his chest, I guess, like,
he was under the ocean, though.
And while the whale didn't speak, he heard a voice nonetheless that said, "Get up, you drunken brute, off of that." And it was a voice that he knew.
Oh, no.
It was the voice of his wife, Judy, who had found him in the river and was splashing him with a tub of water to wake him up.
Judy!
Rest her soul, though she was a good wife, she'll never bear to see me and drink, and had a bitter hand of her own. She's like, oh, god damn it, Daniel.
Again? Daniel, you're a father, you're a husband, you need to stop this.
And she says, you couldn't find a place better to sleep than this river directly under a puka tower?
What's a puka tower?
I'll get into that.
Like a puka shell?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No. And sure enough, he says, I woke up and I swore that no matter how many times I would get drunk for the rest of my life, I would never sleep in that place again. So...
He didn't swear off alcohol. He swore off sleeping in a river.
Yeah. I appreciate that he's setting achievable goals for himself. So a puka is a literal nightmare. It is an Irish fae spirit that often appears as a horse, although it also appears as foxes and wolves and rabbits and everything like that.
Nightmare.
It is usually all black or like a very dark gray. It has flashing gold eyes, and often, especially in horse form, it has thick silver chains, like prisoner's chains wrapped around its body.
Okay.
And what pukas do specifically is they take drunkards and they'll be like, hey, do you want to ride home? And the people will be so drunk that they're like, I'm not going to ask about this horse's motivations. And they'll jump up and the puka will ride them around to crazy, insane places and scare the shit out of them and then drop them back where they found them.
Okay, so they're not like evil.
They're not. They're specifically not evil.
Cute. Cute.
But a lot of times that's where, like, people will be like, they'll wake up and they'll be like, that didn't feel like a dream. I felt like I actually went to all of these crazy places, like the bottom of the ocean where a whale was walking around. And so that's where pukas come in. November 1st, which has passed, is Puka Day in Ireland, which is supposed to be the only day.
All Saints Day.
Sure. It's supposed to be the only day where you can have a civil conversation with a puka without them trying to trick you and ride with you into like the middle of nowhere. They're not like kelpies, because kelpies are also an Irish fae spirit that specifically like looks like a horse, but usually a wet horse.
Yeah.
And they'll get you to jump on their back and then they will ride into very deep water and drown you. So that's not the same thing.
They are scary.
But especially like November 1st, that harvest time, when you harvest your grain, you're supposed to leave a few stalks as the pukas share so that the pukas will leave you alone so that they can have their oats or their wheat or whatever and just chew on it. So you're supposed to leave a couple up for the puka. If it rains on a sunny day, that means that a puka will visit that night. You're not supposed to eat overripe blackberries because 2 different stories on this. Either a puka has spit on them, which is just gross.
Yeah, gross.
Or it means that like overripe blackberries are a way for a puka to get to you. So it means that you'll be visited by a puka.
Oh. Who came up with that one?
I don't know.
Somebody who wanted all the overripe blackberries for themselves.
There are a lot of it's said that if you are on a puka, you can get it under control and ride it like a normal horse if you have very, very sharp iron spurs, which is derivative of like the iron, like Fae being allergic to iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is really cool. Brian Boru, who was this like legendary king of Ireland, was said to be the only man who ever successfully harnessed a puka.
That's badass.
Yeah.
He's just riding a little nightmare horse.
And so that's pukas. So basically
that's cool.
The end of the story is that he fell asleep like downriver from where a puka lived.
Yeah.
And so he got this like nightmare kind of like drunkard's adventure like sort of trickled down to him. Which I think is just cool.
God, the imagery of that too. And also I've never heard of a puka. How fun.
I love puka.
Yeah.
They are again, specifically, they don't hurt you.
Yeah.
They just...
And it seems like they're teaching drunks a lesson.
Yeah.
You know, like,
they're
hey,
also,
don't fall asleep in a river.
Yeah, they're, like, generally specifically trickster spirits.
Yeah.
Where, like, there was this whole section, there's a section on it's an official, like, Irish website for, like, literary history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Funded by, like, the government of Ireland. And it was saying that if you ever have a conversation with a puka, you have to be very careful because they are very tricky and they will trick you into stuff. Also, a lot of times if a puka shows up on your land, like, if you run into them outside your front door, they will say, like, oh, I used to live here. This is so funny. I had this house a long, long time ago. And they'll tell you a story about a family who, for whatever reason, became destitute and had to move out, or like they all died. So it's unclear whether pukas just know the stories of like the ghosts of a house or whether they are the ghosts of a house.
Or if they're just making it up to mess with you. Yeah,
exactly. I love them.
Yeah. Honestly, both of us would do that, I feel.
Oh, for sure.
Go up and mess with someone.
Yeah, and they're also shapeshifters, so...
that's why they're not coming up as horses talking.
They usually are. Cool. They are oftentimes horses. They don't really turn into humans. There's like one specific subcategory of puka that has a different name that I didn't write down that will like turn into people, but they usually still have horse ears. Yeah. But I love them. So that's kind of a last minute, like, surprise that one was about a beast.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Dropped a new cryptid.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Dropped a cryptid.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah. I love them. Also the idea of like a horse that just like is like all like ashy black with like flashing golden eyes, and but chains. Just wants to mess with you. I picture like a horse doing that weird little like dance that they do when they're excited. Yeah. Like boop, boop,
the little
boop,
fancy,
boop. Yeah,
the fancy trotting.
Exactly. That's what I'm picturing. Where they're like, "Hey, man, what's up?" Well, like that, all of their chains are jingling around their torso. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So be careful of pukas. Leave out some grain for them, especially towards harvest time, which I know we've passed, but next year.
Don't go near rivers when you're drunk.
Don't go near rivers when you're drunk. Also, don't go near rivers that pukas live in when you're drunk.
Yeah. Maybe just stay away from those puka rivers altogether.
Maybe just don't get drunk and wander around in the woods. Just.
Yeah. Also, you know what? If you keep finding your husband passed out in a river constantly and you're constantly having to splash him in the mornings to be like, you're embarrassing the family, divorce him. She deserves better.
Yeah.
She should go with the narrator and be his second hot girlfriend.
Yeah.
All right.
I do really like that like little throw in like, anyways, I am a famous adventurer, here's my story, blah, blah, blah. Also, your girlfriend's hot.
Whoa,
gotcha.
Danny O'Rourke. Cool.
Yes. Cool.
Awesome. Well, we done did it.
We did done it.
Cool. Guys, next week, we're telling more stories, so meet us here.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna do, fairy tale, like well-known fairy tales.
Well-known fairy tales. Doesn't have to be Disney. But let's do some well-known fairy tales, because I also think that it'll be fun for people to know the origins.
Yeah, do a couple deep dives.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Cool. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I think we're good. I'm going to do one more sound check.
Remains to be seen.
Wow. Rude.
Hang on, let me
tell me a story. You're not going to be able to stay like this. I think you should sit the way that you know you're going to eventually be.
No, this is perfect.
It's unnerving for me.
Okay, well, that's your problem.
Staring straight into my soul.
That's
Earlier today, she also smelled my ear while I was making tea.
I was demonstrating what the cat was doing to the dog.
Max is possessed. Does anybody else want to fuck Gran O'Brien? We'll talk about it later.